Oh, look, don't be too independent. Don't seek independence too much. It's a great blessing to have one car and not two, so that you have to give the wife a lift to work and pick her up. That's lovely. You can show your affection and care, and she can feel your embrace and your concern and your presence. Two cars? You just got two cars on the road instead of one, and the people don't talk to each other so much. What are you trying to do, wreck your marriage? You're blessed by dependence. I give my boy a lift to work each day. He can't be bothered to learn to drive. He's 23 and he hasn't learned to drive. And yet, he's got the most incredible dynamism for some things. His career and relationship with his partner, been with her since they were 15 and in the same class together. You're 23. They are now. And sure, if he'd had a car these last few years, well, I would have been freer not to have his company. Well, that's not a freedom I treasure. I don't mean he's a fount of spiritual blessing, but although he's secular, and, he's a child like anyone else, he's been a blessing to me. His company, his encouragement. At times he's been silent, morose, and staggering under the burden of the way he lives, which is pretty secular. And a lot of it he wouldn't like to admit to me face to face, but has sort of dropped hints that he's of such view and such practice. But do you see, I'm blessed by my dependence and need. I needed him. I needed to share the house that he's renting off my second wife. I don't mean I'm running two wives at the minute. Not in parallel, in series, right? And I have no wife at all at present. The third wife left me. Anyway, that's not the point. I always drift back to me, don't I? I'm very self-centered. I'm sorry about that. So, coming to the point, dependence is a wonderful thing. Of course, people in a family are dependent on each other. That's a great blessing. It's pressed them to be in harmony. There's a reason for it and a confidence to achieve it, because you know you're of the same genetic background. Same with the fellowship. Become dependent on the fellowship to some extent, not independent of it. So again, I know I'm just talking about cars for a minute. So-and-so needs a lift home. Well, that's good. She feels your love and care. You provide it. You talk, you share, you get to know each other better. You're blessed by the dependency. It's not an evil. It's a blessing God has allowed. If you find there's a certain independence that is a blessing as regards relationship with God, well, fine. You'll take it. You try to be independent much of what the world would otherwise be pressing upon you, because you're following God, not the world. That's fine. That's fine. But don't become one of these people that can't receive. If you can't receive, I can't give. I don't have the joy of giving, and we don't have the same fellowship. So, sure, you have to know how to give, but you also have to know how to receive. And it's a bit like playing a game of Monopoly or something with your kids. Yes, you need to know how to play, but you also need to teach them how to not play, how to simply fellowship, how to play rather than win, rather. Formally we're here to win. the game of Monopoly. But in reality, we're not. We're here to have a loving embrace and time together and chat and fun and fellowship and family. So you make sure your kiddie's winning possibly 50% of the time. But you have to do it subtly, otherwise you'll destroy the game. But I think they realise to some extent you're letting them win, and that's all right, because they just know you love them and they enjoyed winning in that way. They're not as daft as we think. They know what's going on very often. They think, kiddies, much more fluently than they can speak. It's a bit like men compared to women. Women are too fluent and men are too silent, too non-communicative. It's lovely to hear two women just loving each other's company and they're chatting away all this rubbish that pours out of their mouth to each other, and they chat away and really enjoy each other's company, and it's lovely to see. And you see blokes meeting, it's, hiya, you alright? Yeah, good mate, good. You? Yeah, sure. And then it's, some totally irrelevant comment about the football or something, and you just think, are they communicating at all? And they're not really. Well, they are. They're empathising with each other's isolation, I think. Perhaps I've had a particularly biased view of the world from some different experience to yourself. What do you think? It's most important to write what you think, by the way. You find it's you chatting with God. It's the most spiritually uplifting. It's like, wow, it's even better than worship for me at times, often. And it's something I can do on my own. I tend to worship much better in company than alone. But when it comes to just thinking, I'm much better when I'm recording and trying to bless you, the imaginary listener. You're probably not listening too much. So I'm in good motivation and needing to arrive at some understanding and truth that will be a blessing. And I'm confused whether it's a blessing purposed for you or for me or for both of us. I think it's pretty clearly for all. I want it to be for all, don't I? And I'm sure you will find you're the same in that regard. But I mean, we are all different. You may find your best way is Bible study or prayer or worship or listening to sermons or whatever. Yeah. Thank you, Heavenly Father. Is it the case then that it's best to cultivate a great dependence on God by chatting to Him? You might do it by prayer, you might do it by studying His Word, and you might do it by recording or writing, as I'm suggesting here. Well, I think we can get above this problem and answer it by saying it's best to have a great realization of the value of our dependence on God. In other words, being steered by the very personification of what we truly value, or what we think we should be truly valuing that we can't quite clarify in our minds. In other words, it's a worship, a dedication to truth, if you like. There's no religion like truth. It's the essence of what we're really at, trying to discover and understand that we may have more of life. This is life eternal, to know Thee. I need to know You, Heavenly Father, better, because that's the way I should go for life eternal, if you like. This is life eternal, to know Thee. So I'm going to focus on whatsoever is good and lovely, and I'm trying to see it. I'm confronted with dilemmas and paradoxes and surprising things in the world, and I'm coming to grips with them in thinking with You, talking with You. Somehow the speech allows the next thought to come, built on it. Whereas if I just sit and think, I lose very quickly the thread of where it's going, and my mind drifts off onto something else, very mundane perhaps. Whereas in speech, in conversation, we're somehow more practiced in keeping our mind on a particular thread of argument and line of and topic. We stay on topic better. Ideally. I finished this recording a few minutes back, and I thought, well, hang on, where have I got to? For instance, is this what I set out to do? Well, let's go back to the beginning. Where did I start? Oh, don't be too obedient. And yet, where did I finish? On suggesting that you write or you dictate, you record your thoughts with God, in effect. Perhaps to a blessing to others and to yourself. And I'm sort of thinking, because I'm in the mode of speech, is there a unity here, or did I just lose it? Did I just ramble on? Can I bring it back to its beginning and have answered, in some sense, what was on my mind then about you can be too obedient? Was it obedience? No, it was independence, wasn't it? You could be too independent. Dependence can be a great blessing. And indeed, I then realized, well, you finished with writing, people writing their thoughts. That's alone. That's not interacting with others, and of course it is, it's interacting with God. You're thinking with Him, but you're thinking aloud. You're recording it, or you're writing it. And that dependence on the company of God, the conversation, where are your ideas coming from? Where are they coming from? This flow of ideas comes from God. All of them? Some of them? None of them? What do you think? When you're really thinking hard, you're calling upon God, really, to supply the next step. Where's the understanding? What's the logical development? Where's the consistency? Where are the errors? You're chatting with God, thought to thought, mind to mind, without even knowing it sometimes. Thank you, Heavenly Father.